Hey, and welcome to another edition of Just Talking Games, the show where I just talk games, and I look at my games, and I fucking talk about them, and that's all I do. It's just that. It's nothing else, no bells and whistles. It's just talking games. I talk about games, nothing else. I don't talk about anything else, and I don't do anything else except talk about games. I don't play the games, I just talk about them. I don't talk about other things, I just talk about the games. It's just talking games. That's the theme of the show. That's what the show is. It's Just Talking Games. Welcome to another exciting edition of Just Talking Games. And on this time, we're talking about Space Overlords. What the hell is Space Overlords? I don't fucking know. Looks like some goddamn Bionicle shit. Fuck that. What the hell is Sparkle 2? I don't even know what Sparkle 1 is. You gotta know what Sparkle 1 is before you can go talking about Sparkle 2. You gotta know what a crumpet is before you can understand cricket. Next up, we got Star Trek Online. What the hell is this? I'm assuming it's like one of those free-to-play MMOs. Might be good, might be bad, I don't know, I ain't never played it. You know, I love Star Trek. I'm just not into MMOs. So is this a good one, or is it a bad one? I don't know. I can't judge it comparatively to other MMOs, because every single one of them that I play, I fucking hate it, and they're all bad. It's just a bad genre, so I don't know. Next up is Star Wars Bounty Hunter. This is a game where you play as Jango Fett. And you just go around. I never actually played this. I had a friend who played this. He's a big, Mandalore fan. He's a big fan of the Fets. So he played this when it came out, and I think he liked it a lot. I don't know. You'd have to ask him if it was good or not. So I never played it. I don't know if it holds up, because I don't know how good it was even back then, because I didn't fucking play it. But I got it. I don't know how I got it, but I got it. Here comes Starblood Arena. Starblood Arena is another fucking game that I ain't never heard of. I don't know what the fuck it's doing on here, because I ain't never heard of it, and I ain't never gonna play it. Next up is Stardust Vanguards. What the fuck is that? That's another one I don't know what the hell it is, and I don't know why it's here, and I don't know what it's doing here, and I ain't never gonna play it. Next up is Steep. I tried to play this fucking shit. I tried to play fucking Steep. I downloaded it. It was one of those free PS4, PlayStation Plus monthly things. It was a free game I got. I'm like, okay, it looks like a snowboarding game. Maybe I'll play it. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it'll be fun. I put it in. I try to play it. I try to play it. I try to play it. I try to install it. I try to play it. And the first thing it fucking tells me to do is to, sign up for some Uplay shit. Or some stupid, they all want you to sign up for their online shit. So you know what I do when I see that shit? When I see, before you play this game, go visit our fucking service and sign up for our fucking thing and enter your information into this shit. You know what I do when I see that Uplay shit? I say, no thank you, sir. Guess I'm never playing this fucking dog shit game. Guess it's going right in the pile with all the rest of the trash. Guess it's going right in the fucking tire fire to be burned with all the rest of the human refuse and garbage and trash and crap. Okay? When I go to play a game and the first thing I see is sign up for this online bullshit, I say to you, sir, fuck you, suck my fucking dick, go to hell, go die, get cancer, get AIDS, get a fucking alien chest burster in your chest, bursting out of your chest, making you die violently, bloodily, and horribly. Yes, I said bloodily. That's the word now. Bloodily. I hope you die bloodily and violently. And gorily. And fuck you and suck my dick and go away and go die. That's what I say, those exact words, with very little variation every single time I put in a game and it tells me to sign up for some shit. I tell them those exact words that I just said. It's a speech that I keep in my breast pocket at all times. It's written in crayon on a folded piece of paper like Sawyer's letter on Lost to the guy who fucking... You know what I'm talking about. If you know Lost, you know about Sawyer's letter. I got that. But it's specifically for games that tell me to sign up for online bullshit. So, there you go. Fuck Steep. More like stupid. Nailed it. Yeah. Hell yeah. Stupid. Next up is Stern Pinball Arcade. It's a pinball game, I assume, unless it's not, unless it's like unless it's the biggest fooled ya in history, unless it's like, oh, what is this, a pinball game? And it's like a whole different, it's like a chess game. It's more pure chess than pure chess. That'd be a prank if ever there was one. Is there like a market for these? Are there people who are like die-hard pinball enthusiasts to the point where they buy pinball video games on consoles and they're on PC. Like, there must be, right? There must be people who love pinball so much that they even buy pinball video games. I mean, I could see, like, if you're, like, a cool bachelor and you've got an actual pinball machine in your basement, that's, like, a cool thing. Like, hey, I got a pinball machine. Everybody loves a guy who's got a pinball machine. But you never hear anyone bragging about, oh, I got all the pinball video games. You never hear about that. The only pinball game I ever played that I ever owned was Sonic Spinball for the Sega Genesis, which is an awesome game. And I talked about it recently, I'm pretty sure. So I don't want to repeat myself getting lost on a fucking tangent about Sonic Spinball. But if you know Sonic Spinball, then you know. You know what life is all about. Stories, The Path of Destinies. I don't know what the fuck that is. Strider. They brought back Strider. And I think it's kind of like a Metroidvania thing. I played it for a little while, but I didn't give much of a shit about it. Sorry. And Strike Vector X, I don't know what the fuck that is. This is the real, like, what the fuck is this shit section of my games library. This is like all the games that I have no idea how they even got on here. Super Dungeon Bros. I have no fucking idea what that is. Or where it came from. Tales from the Borderlands. I did not know I had that. One of those games from that studio. What was that studio even called? Telltale? So named for their penchant for telling tales, I assume. What the fuck? Yeah, they went out of business because they sort of created their own niche and then proceeded to totally flood that niche and oversaturate it to the point where nobody gave a shit anymore. The first two Walking Dead games I think people liked. I certainly liked the first Walking Dead game. It was novel. It was interesting at the time. It was like, hey, this is pretty cool. And, that was still their big... Like, people still give a shit about the Walking Dead games because they give a shit about Clementine. But after that point, suddenly it's Tales from the Borderlands. Borderlands, a first-person shooter series, now needs a Tales game. Okay, that's kind of weird, but okay. And then there's the fucking A Wolf Among Us. And it's like, what the hell is that? I don't know. I think it's based on some comic or something. People are like, what the hell is that? Fucking that's a thing. And there's a Batman one. Batman's got to have a Telltale game. And in theory, Batman could lend himself to that kind of game pretty well, because Batman's always making moral decisions, and you just kind of take it for granted that he always makes the right one or the most Batman decision. But, actually putting the player into those decisions and having them decide, that's a cool gimmick. I'd like to play a Batman game like that, but of course the game itself, it had the same gross art style as all their other games. I really hate the art style. The cel-shaded fucking colored pencil bullshit look. And of course, the voice actors were weird. I didn't like the voice actors for, any character in that game. I didn't play it, I just looked at it, but it looked like a piece of shit. And it just kept going. Every fucking game had a Telltale game, to the point where it's like, no one cares. These games are all the fucking same. So I don't think anybody was surprised when they closed down, because the studio sucked. All of their games were the fucking exact same. And I don't think anybody actually played them beyond, the first Walking Dead game. But, yeah, that sucks. I sure hope all those people found new jobs. I ain't never gonna play Tales from the Borderlands. If I'm gonna play Borderlands, I'm gonna play Borderlands, you know what I'm saying? Tearaway Unfolded, I don't know what the fuck that shit is. Tearaway Unfolded soundtrack, well, fuck, oh boy, I got the soundtrack to a game I ain't never played, cool. That's You, I don't know what the fuck that is. The Book of Unwritten Tales 2, I don't know what the fuck that is. The Bridge, I don't know what the fuck that is. The Deadly Tower of Monsters I actually played for a little while. It's like a isometric top-down, kind of like a Diablo clone, where you play as this 50s sci-fi cosmonaut in a sci-fi space place, running around with your little laser pistol, and there's narration. It was cool, but not cool enough to keep me playing for that long. I pretty much lost interest pretty quickly. Disney Afternoon Collection, just a collection of old Disney games. DuckTales, of course, is great. Everybody loves the DuckTales game. There's a DuckTales 2 in this, which I didn't even know that there ever was a DuckTales 2, but there is a DuckTales 2 in this. I think there's a Darkwing Duck game in here. There's a Tailspin game. A couple Chip and Dale games, I think. So, yeah, it's a Disney... It's Disney games. It's old NES Disney games. There you go. Not much more to say on that. Next up is the Mark of Kree. You see, I already talked about this in the last one, because for some reason Rise of the Kasai was up there before the Mark of Kree, which I don't know why. That's not alphabetical. M comes before R, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure it does. Now I'm going over it in my mind, trying to make sure. I forgot the fucking alphabet. Yeah, I already talked about it in the last one. Mark of Kree, it's a game, it's good. You play as a cool barbarian guy, you fight guys, it's hard, but it's cool, and it's gory, and it's cool, so there you go. The Unknown City. I bought this because it was like $1, and it looked just shitty enough to be funny, and it was. It was just shitty enough to be funny. It's like a really shitty, like probably made by a small studio of like 3 people in like Norway or something, you know, one of those like Eastern European countries you'd never fucking heard of, one of the Stan countries or something, I don't know. It seemed like, you know, it just seemed like a shitty, like, how the fuck did this get on the PlayStation Store kind of game? Like, it's bad and it sucks dick, but it sucks dick so much that it's kind of funny for like 5 minutes. I think it's worth $1, you know, so there you go. And it's episode 1, as if there's going to be more, which I sincerely doubt, but whatever. Here's The Walking Dead, Season 2. So I was just talking about this. The Walking Dead is sort of the original Telltale game that kicked off the whole boom for the studio before it inevitably crashed. The first Walking Dead game was great. I played it on PS3. You know, I liked the characters. I liked Clem. I liked main character dude whose fucking name I forget. I don't think I beat the second one. I think I just got to the part where you meet Kenny. Kenny comes back from the first game, and Clementine sees him, and that's nice, and they kind of hang out, and I didn't beat it, but it was good. Like the games are not bad. It's just you get sick of them because they're all the fucking same. But this is Walking Dead 2. What can I fucking say? There you go. It's fucking Telltale. Hey, A Witcher 3. Oh boy, this is a big one. People are fucking crazy about this game. People love this game. They think it's one of the greatest games of all time. Then, it's... I mean, I don't agree. I don't think it's one of the greatest games of all time. It's certainly good. It's kind of like, I liken the Witcher games to, like, the old BioWare games. Like, The Witcher, to me, feels like a spiritual successor to KOTOR more than anything else. And I know the gameplay isn't exactly the same, but that's what it feels like to me. You go around, you're the guy, and it's kind of like that, it's kind of like the Commander Shepard feeling where, like, it is your character, and you do get to decide shit, but it still feels like an actual guy with a personality beyond your choices, and they do a good job of making it so that, like, what is set in stone about the character's personality doesn't ever seem to contradict what I decide. Like, it blends together really well. Like, he's just Geralt, and he can be a nice Geralt or a mean Geralt, but he's still Geralt, and it works. It all works pretty well. All the dialogue stuff. The side quests are cool. It has really intricate side quests where, like, whole stories will unfold, and it'll be a side quest, which I like. I didn't beat it. I'm not sure where I got to, but I played it for a while. I didn't like the combat at all. You end up, you're playing the game for the story and for the characters, but I was not into, the combat is just like this weird floaty clusterfuck, where you're just kind of mashing shit, and it just sucks ass. It's good. I just don't think it's like one of the greatest games of all time or anything. What I liked the most about it was the card game. I would just go around to all the different towns and play Gwent. I did the Gwent missions because I got really into it. I got really into that stupid fucking strategic card game, more so than the actual story or the actual plot or anything that was actually going on. By the end of it, I didn't give a fuck what Geralt was doing. I just wanted to play cards with people. But it was, what I played was good, I just didn't beat it. Maybe someday I will. I'll probably go back to it someday. Thing is, I left my save off on a really shitty place. I was, like, in some cave, about to fight this spider or something, and it was, like, way high level, like, too strong for me. I had, like, no healing items. Just getting my ass kicked every time. But, like, I had saved in that cave, next to the spider. So every time I load my save, I'm totally fucked. Like, I load my game and I come into being right next to the big scary spider who kicks my ass every single time. I can't get away from it. I can't get out of the cave. So I think I'm fucked. That's why I never beat the game. It wasn't like the game was bad or anything. I just saved myself into a fucking corner. And so I don't know what to do. So that's my Witcher 3 adventure. As far as I know, Geralt just dies in a cave. He gets killed by a fucking Shelob. And that's how the story ends. This is The Police. This was a cool game that I played for a little while. I got kind of into this. It's sort of like a... I don't know, I'm tempted to compare it to like Papers, Please, but I didn't actually play Papers, Please. I'm just going off what I know of it. It kind of seems like that kind of game. It's just like you're a police chief, and you have to handle, like, the daily bullshit of, like, what cops are going out where, and, like, who's working, who you hire for the fucking precinct. You know, just doing, like, cop work, like, paperwork. Like, the, you know, not like the shooty running around action stuff, but, like, more of a simulation of, like, the paperwork of being the police chief, which is cool. And it was really good and really fun. And there's also sort of like a sort of noir story to it where, like, you know, there's corruption and there's like mobsters who want you to do shit and you gotta make moral decisions or else they kill your fucking family or something. You know, it's cool. I didn't beat it, but I played it a little bit and it was rad. So this is The Police. If any of that sounds cool to you, I certainly recommend it. Torment, Tides of Numenera. So, I was never a PC gamer growing up. I was a console gamer. I grew up with Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and PlayStation, and Sega Saturn, and Nintendo 64, and, you know, PS2, and on and on and on. So, I was never exposed to a lot of the groundbreaking, amazing PC games until much later in life. And one of those games that I had always heard about was a game called Planescape Torment. And I, you know, had always heard about this game as, like, a masterpiece. You know, along with stuff like Half-Life and System Shock and all these PC games that you don't really get a chance to play growing up with, you know, Super Nintendo and PlayStation 1. So it wasn't until much later in life that I got... Like, for example, I never played Doom with a mouse and keyboard. I had always just played, like, I love Doom. Doom is one of my favorite games of all time, and I've played, like, every version of it ever on every console. 32X, Super Nintendo, you know, PS1, Sega Saturn. I love Doom, but I had never actually played Doom, like, for real, until much later in life when I was, like, in my mid-20s, and I got, like, and this was years ago when I got, you know, I finally had the money to build my own gaming PC, like this really good machine. And I could finally start playing all these old PC games that I had missed out on growing up as a console kid. So when I first got my PC, the first thing I did was I got Doom, because I wanted to play it for real for the first time, one of my favorite games, and like experience actually being able to walk around and aim with the mouse on Doom. It was like this amazing revelation, like, oh my god, this is Doom. This is what it is. And it was awesome, and it was great. So, it wasn't until much later in life that I got an actual gaming PC, is my point. And so then I could go back and play all these PC games that were classics that I had missed out on, and one of the ones I had always heard of was Planescape Torment. So I bought it on Good Old Games, I think, and I played it for a little while. Enough that I could see what people loved about it, and why it was regarded as a classic and a masterpiece. But I didn't get that much into it, because by that point, you know, you're an adult. It's hard to get into those games when you're grown up and you've got shit to do. When you're a kid, you know, if I had actually been a kid when it came out and had a PC when it came out to play it back then, I probably would have been way into it. It probably would have blown my fucking mind. It would have been one of my favorite games ever, but because I never got a chance to play it until I was fucking like 25, I didn't give a shit. I was like, fuck it. I have shit to do, you know? Like it was like way too much stuff to wrap your head around as an adult. Like, as you get older, you just get dumber when it comes to video games, because the more complex a system is, when you're a kid, you have all the time in the world to engross yourself in those systems and those mechanics and get really into them and understand everything. That's why I still, in my brain, I have all this knowledge of, like, how to combine materia and shit in Final Fantasy VII. And all the best, like, little sneaky combinations and cool little shit you can do in that game. Because I played it and grew up with it when I was a kid, and I had time to learn that shit. When you go in as an adult, trying to play a game like Planescape Torment for the first time, and you're looking at all these systems and stats, it just blows your fucking mind. And you're like, I don't got time for this. I can't get into this. So, like, the ship has sailed. It's too late for me to get into that game. But I heard about this coming out, Torment Tides of Numenera, which is a sequel, I think, or a spiritual successor or something. I think it was kickstarted by the guys who made that game. So I was like, okay, well, this is a new game, and maybe this can be like my second chance to get into that series or whatever. So I bought it, and I played it for a little while, and eventually I just was like, ah, fuck it. I still don't give a shit. Too much stuff to learn, too many stats, too many systems. This game's too smart, it's too complex, it's too much. This game is too good for me in my current state, and my weakened state of being a broken, battered down old man who has shit to do and a real life to live. I can't get into games like this anymore, so as far as I know, Torment Tides of Numenera is probably a fucking masterpiece, just like the original game is regarded as a masterpiece. This is probably, you know, even better for all I know. It could be a new classic, and if you're into it, you've probably already played it, but I just am too old for this. I'm like Shadow, man, trying to get under that fucking fence. I'm too old for this. That's what Shadow says in the movie. The Golden Retriever. Talking about Homeward Bound, people! If you don't know Homeward Bound, get the fuck out, okay? Okay, that's my thing. Okay, people are gonna be shaming me. All you PC elitists are gonna be shaming me. Oh, you don't know how to play fucking Planescape Torment. You don't know about PC games. You don't know about mouse and keyboard controls. You don't know about fucking System Shock 2 and fucking you don't know about Homeward Bound. Okay, you have no room to talk. You have no room to shame me if you don't know about fucking Homeward Bound. That's my shit. You don't know about fucking VHS tapes, you fucking Zoomers. Yes, it's getting back to that. It's an age thing with me. Everything is an age thing with me. I'm ageist. I hate young people. You fucking Zoomers with your fucking Minecraft and your fucking Fortnite. I don't get it. I'm too old. I'm not with it anymore. I used to be with it, but they changed what it was, and now what I'm with isn't it anymore, and what it is seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you. How'd you like that? It's a fucking Simpsons reference. You don't know that shit. You don't even know the Simpsons, you fucking kids today. You don't know the fucking Simpsons. You don't know the fucking Homeward Bound. What the fuck do you know? Nothing. Get the fuck out. Kiss my ass and suck my dick and fucking blow it out your ass. Bunks. You fucking bunkers. Oh, God. Oh, God, where am I? Help, what happened? Oh, shit, I got off into the wrong fucking thing. Anyways, Trackmania Turbo. I don't know what the fuck that is. Transformers Devastation. Is this like a Platinum Games game? I think that's who did this. It doesn't show me. Just like, you know, just like a basic action game, but with Transformers. I think I remember hearing it was good, like you could transform. I mean, obviously you can fucking transform. I don't know, I heard it was good, but I'm just not into the Transformers as a whole to want to play it. Like, even, like, that's one of those things where, like, normally I would say you kids today don't know about Transformers, but even when I was growing up, for some reason Transformers just bypassed me. I never gave a shit about Transformers. And the original series was slightly before my time, but I was still young enough that I could have been into it. I was into Beast Wars. which is technically part of the Transformers franchise, but it's a little bit different. I was into Beast Wars back in the day, and I did see Transformers the movie, the 1986, I think, animated movie. So it's not like I wasn't exposed to Transformers, I just never really gave a shit about the franchise. And when the movies came out and they started getting bad, everyone was like, oh, this ruins my childhood. And I was always like, was Transformers ever really that good? Was it ever... Is it really ruining your childhood? You know? And people are like, oh, the Transformers movies got really bad after the second one. Like, even the first Transformers movie I thought sucked ass. Not the first, not the original, not the animated one. The animated one's okay, of course. What the fuck am I talking about? I don't know. This is just fucking worthless. This is a worthless video. Why would you listen to this? Why would you watch this? Oh, God. What was my fucking point? I guess my point was that I liked Beast Wars. That was my point. I used to have a Beast Wars game on PlayStation 1, which I think historically is regarded as a really shitty game, but I loved it as a kid. You know, when you're a kid, you don't care if a game is shitty. The games that you have are the games that you have, and so you learn to fucking love them, especially when you're a poor kid. So I learned to fucking love the Beast Wars Transformers game for PlayStation 1, regardless of whether or not everyone else said it was terrible. I fucking learned to love it. So, Transformers Devastation, I don't know enough about it to recommend it. I guess, obviously, if you're a fan of Transformers, you probably already played it, but if you're really a fan of Transformers, if you really want to know your shit, then you should play the Beast Wars game for PlayStation 1. So, fucking, there you go. Fucking shit. Trials Fusion, I don't know what the fuck that is. Looks like some meme game. Tricky Towers, that's just Tetris. I mean, that is clearly a Tetris block. Who are you trying to fool? Someone's gonna get sued. Twisted Metal Black. Classic. Right there. The, Twisted Metal 1 and 2, of course, are some of my favorite games. Some of those games from my childhood era. Classics. Twisted Metal 2, I think, is the one that probably holds up the best to this day. Even with Black. Black and 2 both hold up, I think, but I think Twisted Metal 2 just generally is a better game nowadays. It holds up better. Twisted Metal 2 is a fucking masterpiece. Then they sort of switched studios. 989 Studios did Twisted Metal 3, which was terrible, and everyone hated it. Then they also did Twisted Metal 4, which was a little bit better than 3. They were getting back on the right track, but I think they had lost all of their goodwill from messing up Twisted Metal 3. So nobody wanted to play Twisted Metal 4. I played Twisted Metal 4. I stuck with the series, and I thought Twisted Metal 4 was good. It was a good game. But just nobody cared because that studio had messed with the series. Twisted Metal 1 and 2 were still the best. So then the series kind of died for a while. I guess they made Small Brawl, which was the one where you're like playing RC cars, you're playing as kids. But then they rebooted it, I think in like 2001 or 2002 with Twisted Metal Black, and it was like, the new aesthetic was that it was like as dark and edgy as possible. Pretty sure like David Jaffe worked on this game, who later made God of War. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know. But, Twisted Metal Black was like dark and scary, and there was like this subtle story of like maybe it's all in Sweet Tooth's mind, and this is how he perceives the world as like a scary hellhole. It was like really, when it comes to aesthetic, you've got to really appreciate Twisted Metal Black, especially in hindsight, like historically, looking back on this game, you gotta appreciate how committed it was to its aesthetic, because it didn't just say like, oh, we're gonna be dark and edgy. This game is insane. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, that game Hatred came out, where you're playing as, like, a mass shooter, and it's all edgy and in black and white, and it's like, you're like this edgelord who just, I want to kill people. And people flipped their fucking shit, like, how can they make a game this edgy? This is a game about mass shooters, it's too edgy. And it's like, bitch, please, did you play fucking Twisted Metal Black back in 2001? That is an edgy fucking game, okay? Twisted Metal Black makes Hatred look like Barney's hide-and-seek adventure. You can quote me on that, bitch. It's fucking... Even, like, the little things in this game. Like, every single part of this game is committed to this aesthetic of, like, dark, edgelord, scary bullshit. Even to the point where, like, when you beat the game and you get your wish from Calypso, it's, like, all the characters who are evil, who wanted revenge or, like, murder or bad things, all get exactly what they want with no complications. But all the characters who are good or noble or want justice in the world, they all get the bad endings and the twist endings, and they all get fucked by Calypso. Even the little things like that, where like it's just a dark, bleak, miserable view of the world where like everyone good is ground into dust, everything good and pure is destroyed, everything is miserable, everything is bad, everything is evil. And the stories in this game, I mean, this is like probably like the first Twisted Metal that really lived up to its name, because the game is fucking twisted. I mean, the stories are like scary. They're so like dark and bleak. You could really like, you could make like a short story, like Stephen King does those collections of his short stories sometimes in like book form. You could do like a book of like short stories, short terrifying stories, just of like the character backstories in this game. Like Dollface is like terrifying, legit. Like she gets the Dollface nailed to her face. Mr. Grimm was like a Vietnam vet who like was in a hole and had to like eat his friend and like got a taste for flesh. Sweet Tooth is like this monstrous, unrepentant serial killer. You know, the deformed guy who kills a guy with a plane propeller at the end. The preacher guy. It's just fucked. Like the game is fucked. It's cool and it's scary and it's got this fucking just amazing tone to it consistently throughout it, and it's just cool. Like it's so. If you've never played this game and you go back and play it now, you'll be amazed at how like consistent it is with its tone and how committed it was to this bleak, scary, dark, fucking Twisted Metal Black aesthetic. Like they're not kidding when they call it Twisted Metal Black. This is a black fucking game. And it's great, and it's awesome, and I love it. And the levels in this game are huge and destructible. They really like took the level design of the old games and just like upped the ante with it and made the levels like so big and sprawling. It's hard as fuck. This is a difficult fucking game. I remember fucking just raging at this game, and I remember like when I was a kid being at my older cousin's house and watching him play. And watching him just fucking rage fighting Minion, like losing his fucking mind. Because it's like the hardest game ever. Twisted Metal 2 was pretty fucking hard in hindsight, but for some reason, I don't remember raging at that one. I remember raging at Twisted Metal Black. Yeah, it's a classic. It's a fucking amazing masterpiece, and I think it totally holds up. It totally stands the test of time. It's definitely a product of its time. I mean, you can definitely tell this game was made during the era where Slipknot and Korn were popular. It's definitely very of that era, but it does hold up. And if you play it now, it's like all the more novel because we're not in that era anymore. You go back and play it now, and it's like, holy shit, this is what people fucking were entertained by in 2001? This is horrifying. You know, people today wouldn't be able to handle Twisted Metal Black. If this game came out today, in the atmosphere we have today of like Twitter and shit, and you know, people being offended by shit, this game would cause fucking riots if it came out today. This game would cause a new civil war. It would cause the breakdown and collapse of all society. We would actually end up in the world of Twisted Metal Black if Twisted Metal Black came out today. It would actually create itself within the real world. It would destroy all of society. All of civilization would tear itself apart because of how fucking edgy this game is. If it came out today. Yeah. Game opens up with the song Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. Like the best use of that song ever in the history of art. You know? Like that song was almost... That song had no purpose until this game was made. That song was recorded in the 60s for the purpose, even if the Rolling Stones did not know it themselves. It was made, written, and recorded for the purpose of someday being in Twisted Metal Black. It fulfilled its destiny when this game came out. What a fucking masterpiece. And the series continued on after this game, but I don't think it ever reached the heights of Twisted Metal Black ever again. This was definitely the peak of the series, although, to be fair, I forget what the next one was called. Twisted Metal Head On or something like that. It came out on the PSP first, so nobody played it, because fuck the PSP. But it then got ported as a special edition to the PS2. And I thought, that game and I cannot remember what it was called. I think it was called Twisted Metal Head On or something. I don't fucking remember. But I thought it was, like, as good, if not better than Black. It sort of combined the tone of Black and the tone of Twisted Metal 2, like the earlier games, and it really, I don't want to say compromised, but blended those two tones in a way that was really interesting and became its own tone. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, but, and I don't even remember what it was called, but the PSP Twisted Metal that got ported to the PS2 was also really, really good. And then there was a PS3 Twisted Metal that nobody fucking played, because it was like an online game mostly, and who gives a shit. Yeah, that's my feelings on fucking Twisted Metal. Next up is Ultratron. I don't know what the fuck that is. Until Dawn. Okay, so Until Dawn is like a horror movie simulator, like a cabin in the woods, 80s, 90s slasher horror movie simulator. It's an interesting game, kind of like the Telltale games, but kind of way better. And when I first played this game, I thought it was terrible, and I thought it was corny, and I thought it was cheesy, and stupid, and lame, because all the characters were unlikable, and they were all shitty. I mean, it definitely achieved what it was going for with the whole, like, you know, teenagers in a ski lodge, and there's a killer, or whatever. But I just wasn't into it at first. I thought it was lame as fuck, and, you know, like, not a real game, because I like games with gameplay, not games with, you know, pseudo-gameplay, but they're mostly, like, narrative-focused, you know, like Telltale kind of games. I don't generally like those. But I played it with my girlfriend, and we recorded it. We did a Let's Play of it. And this footage, again, one of those things that I have recorded over the years that does exist somewhere on my hard drive. A very long Let's Play of me and my girlfriend playing at least the first half of this game. And then the second half, we stopped recording. We just played it for ourselves. Because I think, honestly, because the Let's Play wasn't turning out too good, because we were just, like, shitting on the game. We were just like crapping on the game for like the whole first half of it, because we both thought it was fucking stupid. It was fucking lame. All the characters suck. The whole angle with the killer was fucking stupid. There was a lot of like Eli Roth Hostel bullshit, a lot of Saw bullshit, you know, which was played out years ago. You know, like, you're chained to a chair and you gotta do a thing or else your friend gets killed with a saw or some shit. You know, that kind of stupid bullshit. And this is where the game is really weird and hard to recommend, I guess, but also hard not to recommend, because the first half of this game is retarded and worthless and terrible, and we made fun of it the whole time. We thought it was one of the worst games ever. It was stupid and corny and fucking lame. Again, the hostile bullshit I could do without. No one... That shit's played out as fuck. And it just seemed uninspired, like, oh, there's friends, but there's a killer, and blah, blah, blah. They're all gonna have sex, and then they're gonna die, blah, blah, you know, fucking retarded and gay. And we made fun of it, like, relentlessly. And then we stopped recording, but we kept playing. And, like, halfway through the game, after we stopped recording, the story takes this crazy shift. It totally, like, veers left in a way, and like, the whole story changes, and it becomes something totally different than what it is the first half. And it becomes awesome. And that's the reason I've never released that Let's Play, because I felt bad. Because we were just playing the first half of the game and just crapping all over it and acting like it was the stupidest game ever. And as soon as we stopped recording, the game got good. It got really fucking good. And it went from, like, you know, I don't want to spoil it, because I do kind of want to recommend it, because the whole first half that I hated, you know, the generic early 20s teen kids in a secluded place, and they have sex, and one of them's a killer, and there's a killer, and they die, and whatever. That part is all stupid and fucking corny and played out and lame, but it almost does that on purpose, I think, to subvert your expectations halfway through the game, when it becomes something totally else, and it starts veering more supernatural. And all the stuff with the killer is, like, resolved pretty early on, not early on, but like halfway through, the stuff with the killer is resolved, and it becomes totally different and like supernatural and way fucking cooler. And it just becomes like a whole different game halfway through, which is awesome, but also kind of sad because I think a lot of people will play it like me, the first half, and think that it totally fucking sucks and not keep playing to see that it gets good. So that's my recommendation for this game with that caveat. The first half of the game is totally fucking stupid and terrible, and you will hate it if you're anything like me. But if you stick with it and keep playing, it gets good. So there you go. Until Dawn is I have to say it's a good game. Like, I wouldn't... And going into it, it's not a game that I would have thought that I would have liked, because like I said, I'm totally over the whole Telltale style games of, you know, that pseudo gameplay, but like it works for this game once you get over that hump and the story starts picking up and becoming really cool. And kind of feel like I'm repeating myself, but the point is, the game's awesome. Don't be fooled by yourself when you play the first half and you hate it. Keep playing it, stick with it, it gets good. The next one is like I don't know what this even is, like an expansion called Rush of Blood. I think I downloaded this because I was like, oh, cool, an expansion to Until Dawn. That game ended up being good, so I'll get this second one. I don't know if it's an expansion or a sequel, but only to find out once I got it that I don't think it's playable to me. It's a VR game. I would need the headset. I didn't know it was a VR game. I just got it, so I haven't played this Rush of Blood one, but I don't know. If it's anything like the first game, it's probably good. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. Talking to myself about video games. What a life. What a fucking life. How many games have I talked about so far in this one? Quite a few, I think. Maybe that's where I should end this one. I guess I'll talk about Valley and then I'll end it. Valley is another one that I played. Another one of these like walking simulator kind of art games that you just sort of get and you don't realize where you got them from. Again, PlayStation Plus gives you free games every month, and I've had it for a while, so I've gotten a lot of free games. And a lot of them are these sort of like weird artsy walking games, and they're kind of like interchangeable. Like, I remember this game, but until just now when I saw it, I would not have been able to tell you what the title of it was. I did not remember the name of this game. I think about it sometimes, like, hey, remember that fucking game? But I can't remember the fucking title of it. It's called Valley. It was good. You know, kind of interchangeable, like this whole genre of games tends to be. But it has this gimmick where, like, you can jump. That's the gimmick. I mean, you can sort of see in the little thumbnail for it there's a guy with robot legs. That's what it should have been called. I would remember it if it were called Robot Legs and not Valley. Valley is kind of a generic, you know, like, look at how deep and artsy we are kind of title. Like, oh, Journey. Oh, Valley. You know, Flower. It's one of those kind of fucking foo-foo bullshit titles that don't really tell you anything about the game. It should have just been called Robot Legs. You know, maybe taking itself a little bit less seriously to differentiate itself from the others of its genre, which has become very oversaturated and very interchangeable. This game is like you're in a valley, I guess, and it's like nature, but it's kind of ruined, and there's like I don't remember the story of this game much. There's like people were messing with science. I mean, it's always... They all have the same story. Every game in this genre has the same story. It's nature, and it's beautiful, but people were messing with science, and now it's bad, and you've got to make the nature beautiful again. It's the same fucking story as Flower, you know? Basically the same story as fucking Journey, and that underwater journey that I can't remember the name of. They're all the fucking same. But for what it's worth, this was a good one. I good enough for me to play through it, and I liked it. So, there you go. There's fucking Robot Legs, aka Valley. Yeah, and that's talking about games fucking 4, I think. I did not think that this would be a 4-part series, let alone more. God, I didn't realize I had this many on here. This is gonna be like a series that lasts forever. And after I'm done with PS4, you know, I've still got a whole massive Steam catalog to go through. I've still got my whole massive library of physical media to go through. This series could last forever. This could be an actual thing that keeps going, since people seem to enjoy it. Cool, I guess. Just talking games, baby. Ooh.